Simply.
Today we bring in a world-famous custom painter and how-to author who's been printed in multiple languages to show you guys how to throw down some old-school hot rod flames with waterborne paint. Plus we get a sneak peek at the 2012 Riddler winner while it's still under construction.
Hey guys, I know to some of you this may look familiar. And this one too. These 33 hot rods built by the guys at Factory 5 Racing are a pretty sweet way to combine modern performance and old school style. And what you see here is another one of those old 33 hot rods, but for now it's a blank canvas and sealer with endless possibilities. It's also got the old school looks that everyone seems to think is timeless, and one good way to bring that home would be with a great flame paint job.
And just like the car, we're going to couple classic style with modern technology, and in this case it comes from PPG. Auto Body Color and Supply in Nashville keeps us stocked up with PPG products, and we use quite a bit of it here in the shop. But as for that new technology I was talking about, it's this stuff, PPG's enviro-based paint system. Now this is a whole new setup for material for painting an automobile. So we got us the go-to guy to keep us on the straight and narrow. Ron Payton's a technical instructor down in Orlando, Florida. Ron, what do you got there?
Well, Tommy, like you said, this is our new PPG enviro-based paint system. We have got it covered all the way from the undercoats, primer surfacer, sealer, through the base coat, and you finish it up with these clears. This is the enviro-based waterborne base coat we've been talking about. Pretty much anything that you've been able to do with solvent, you can now do with water. You can even do custom stuff with it. Now the neat thing about it is also that it's a low VOC product that will pass any kind of emission standards that the government's going to throw at us in the future.
And for those of you out there who are just a little antsy about getting into the world of water-based paint, we're going to show you that it's not just for painting cars, but you can use it for custom work, top to bottom, and it's no harder to use than solvent. Joanne Bortles is a renowned painter and also the owner of Crazy Horse Custom Paint out of Waxhaw, North Carolina. She does bikes, cars, boats, and if it'll hold a base, she can custom paint it, in addition to hitting it with an airbrush as well. She's had her work at SEMA, on TV, and in many magazines over the years. And on top of that, she's a published author with 6 custom painting how-to books, as well as being a photojournalist.
Thanks, Mank. It's really great to be here.
Joanne's like everybody else. For years she's used solvents, but recently she's taken the enviro-based course with Ron at their facility in Florida. Now she knows exactly what to do to make this stuff work. Joanne, take it away.
I've already taped off one side of the car, and the flames work very effectively, and they fit the space that I wanted them to be in. How do I know which kind of flames are going to look good on my car? And there's a really quick and easy way to do that. I take 2 pictures of the car, and then with a simple graphics program like Paint or Photoshop, I can draw out as many different kinds of flame patterns, styles, and colors as I want. First thing I do is I find the center of the hood. And not all hoods are symmetrical, so you just kind of like eyeball it. Then I take a piece of masking paper. Any masking paper will do. Lay that down on the hood. I take a pencil and I just draw along the flame. And then simply flip your paper over, line it up, and because you've already traced it with a pencil, it acts like a piece of carbon paper. You just simply trace along the line, and the line gets transferred to the other side, so you have the exact same flame pattern that you can simply tape off. Okay, first we're going to find the end of this flame right here. That way the flames will be even. And I'm going to run the tape just along the inside of where I drew that line. Now when you're cutting any kind of tape, you don't want to cut too deep because you don't want to cut into the paint. You just want to remove the excess tape. Now you're using your lines as a guide, but don't use them as too firm a guide because flames are basically going to tell you where they want to be taped, where they're going to work most effectively. Flaming cars can be a great way to spend quality time with friends because you want them to help you while you're laying out your flames. They can be taping off the flames because that's the really fun part.
Spraying flames with waterborne paint. We'll show you just how easy it can be. But first, it's a Distributor Tech Talk with the ins and outs of setting up your timing.
Hey guys, there's still a little bit of prep work left to do on that old 33 hot rod before it can get sprayed. so we're gonna give them a few minutes to get it ready. While they're doing all that, old Mank here's got something he's been dying to show you guys, and I tell you what, he won't quite shut up about it. So Mank, here's your big chance to let him in on some of your secrets.
One thing I've noticed over the years is that while people are capable of installing and even doing mild tuning on a distributor, some people don't realize that delving in a little bit farther into one of these distributors can open up a whole boatload of untapped horsepower that your engine could be hiding. Well, let's take a look at a few different things we can do to tune our distributor. With many of them, the principles are the same, so we can use these techniques to apply them to a myriad of different brands and types. The distributor controls the timing in your vehicle 3 different ways. First of all is static, aka initial timing, which is nothing more than a reference between the position of the rotor inside the distributor cap in relation to the position of the crankshaft in the engine. Once the distributor is installed and clamped down, the initial timing parameter is non-changing. Rotating the distributor clockwise or counterclockwise advances or retards the initial timing, which simply means you are changing the point at which the spark plug fires as the piston travels to the top of the cylinder during each compression stroke. When you adjust this, you're basically setting the timing limit in which the distributor is going to control. The low end is the initial, and the high end is both a combination of initial and mechanical, which is the second type of timing we're going to talk about. The mechanical timing is controlled by this, a set of weights, which depending on engine speed and spring rate will butterfly open and push the timing farther ahead, making the spark plugs fire sooner. You'll notice that if I hold the bottom of the shaft to prevent it from turning, I can still rotate the rotor inside slightly. What happens is the centrifugal force from the engine will make the weights inside spread, therefore advancing the timing and the rotor's position from where it originally was. You can make your engine achieve total timing more quickly by using a kit like this one that we got from Summit Racing, which allows you to put different weight and spring combinations into the unit and change the behavior of the rotor. The third part of the equation is vacuum advance, which not all distributors have. This comes into play when you step on the gas pedal and the ported vacuum in your engine changes drastically, which in turn actuates this vacuum module, pulling on this rod and advancing the position of the firing points. In essence, you shorten up the distance between initial and total mechanical timing. When you take your foot off the gas and the vacuum goes away, it goes back to its original setting. And speaking of original settings, one mistake I see a lot of people make is they try to push their initial timing too high to get a better low-end power curve. What they forget is that you have to recurve the distributor with those weights and springs so that the high end comes in and ends within the engine's parameters. Why? Because too much total timing will cause misfiring by going too far from top dead center. This is why you hear some cars at the racetrack going pop, 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 pop when they hit higher RPMs. Well, I know this hasn't been as glamorous as flaming a hot rod, but it's important if you're looking to squeeze out all the extra horsepower you can possibly find.
Stick around to see how our 33 hot rod turns out, and then watch this aluminum block turn into this awesome custom-made wheel.
Joanne's getting ready to mix up the colors for her flamed out paint job. And if you guys remember, she's using PPG's Enviro-based waterborne base coats.
Over the top of that white Enviro-based sealer, I'm going to make the first layer a stock bright yellow that PPG calls permanent yellow. One last thing we do before we paint is we got to check the viscosity of our paint. It should take between 23 and 28 seconds for the stream to stop running out of this cup. Longer than that and I need to thin it out. Shorter than that and it's too thin and needs more unreduced paint. The general rule is that your paint is going to be reduced by 20% on most colors. Pigment strength and coverage are paramount. And the beauty of this system is if you have to make a repair on an existing or future factory color, you can color match it and blend it very easily. And you don't have to worry about any solvents attacking your repair edges.
These air dryers speed up the process of getting each coat ready for the next step.
I know what you painters out there are thinking. How long does it take for this stuff to flash off? Here's the deal. If you prep it and spray it correctly, it flashes off faster than solvent paint, with better coverage.
You can see that Joanne is starting to blend in the darker colors, introducing more red into the paint as she gets farther back on the car.
The pigments on this car might not be green, but the technology behind it is. In this day and age, we can have a low VOC paint that's better for painters and everybody else. And you know what? It looks good too.
At this point, the outline of the flames is ready to be blended in, which is going to require an airbrush to achieve the precision it takes to get the right look. The mid-coat that Joanne's going to use to protect those flames is a waterborne clear from PPG's Vibrance collection. Well, the flames have been shot, they're masked off, they've got the car wiped down, they're getting ready to shoot the black. Let's take a look and see what it looks like. Once the black is down and dried, a coat of clear will keep everything well protected. We also have some help with reassembly on this car from Keith and Gary with the Hack Shack out of Rogers, Arkansas. They're experts with these Factory 5 cars and can make quick work of this one, while Joanne finishes up with some striping and one last coat of clear over the flames.
Once it's cured, we can get it back to being a roller, wheel it out, and back together it goes. We'll complete the look with a set of 18-inch Excelsior Stall Sport radials from Coker Tire. They sport a bias-ply look with a radial construction, and they're wrapped around a set of black powder-coated 52-spoke Wheel Ventique 71 series street rod wires. Take a step back, and now you can see what all that effort was for. Blending is certainly something that you can attain with waterborne paints, and the vibrance that you might like to see is certainly there as well. This thing looks like it fell right out of Main Street in 1962, except back then, most of them weren't this nice.
I'm really glad you like it. I think in the end we proved that you can do this kind of work just as well and just as easily with EnviroBase.
You know, those little hot rods may not be muscle cars in the strictest sense, but there ain't no denying that you sure can make them look good.
Coming up, see how custom wheels are made and a close look at the 2012 Riddler winner.
Hey guys, we're on the hunt today. We're at a point with our Olds build that we need to be figuring out what kind of wheels we're going to run. Now we could go with an aftermarket set of wheels, or heck, we could even find us a set of stock style rallies. But I got a better idea than that. What I want is the old school Olds look with a modern twist. But there's not anybody out there cranking any wheels out like that. So that only leaves us with one option, having a set of custom one-off wheels made. But not everybody's set up to make something like that. But we're visiting an outfit in Nashville, Tennessee that can help us out with that problem. So y'all say hello to Jesse Greening with Greening Auto Company. You mind showing me around the shop?
Absolutely. The Greening name has been in automotive all the way from the 30s until now.
Whether you're into classic restorations or if something with a little more muscle floats your boat, these guys tackle all kinds of projects. Man, I'm really digging the Thunderbird.
This is a car that we're putting together for the Detroit Autorama and competing for the Riddler Award up there. It's 56 T-Bird, probably about a 3,500, 4,000 hour project. All the trim work around the windshield and the cockpit area is all handmade out of sheet metal. And then we've machined and designed all the trim for the lighting on both front and rear, the whole grille. And then of course the wheels. That's just a one-off set of wheels for this car. We're equipped with some pretty good equipment that allows us to dream up, draw, engineer, and machine anything that we want to, to make one of our projects more unique.
This is Jason, a designer here at Greening's. What all does it take to design a set of wheels?
Well, when you called, you said you wanted something similar to the late 60s Oldsmobile design. So we took that, went to the internet and kind of looked it up, saw what was going on with the wheel, and tried to get an idea of what the actual shape of the wheel was. I started working toward that in our SolidWorks CAD program. We also used the measurements from your car. We decided on a 19-inch in the front and a 20-inch rear, developed the shape, shot a few renderings back and forth, and we ended up with what you see coming out today.
To get that concept from a hard drive into your hands requires some special tools. In this case, it's a CNC machine, operated by Wes McCutcheon.
After Jason makes a 3D model of it, he sends it to me, and then I start writing toolpaths to it, just basically telling it how to go about cutting the wheel. This right here is the raw stock that we receive when we order the metal. This is what it looks like before we put it in the machine. This right here is the backside. We go ahead and rough it out and finish it. And then this is basically the rear of the wheel. Then we flip to the front side and it roughs and finishes it out in about 6 hours. This right here is what it looks like after we get through surfacing it.
Since these wheels are getting painted, the metal next has to be prepped to get sprayed. Then it's ready for some color. For our wheels, that color would be black. Now that we've seen them painted, how do they go together?
Well, we're going to start with the center that you worked with Jason and Wes. And then we're going to take two purchased pieces that we outsourced, and it's the outer barrel and the inner barrel. We'll take the center, carefully slide it down into the chrome barrel so we don't scratch it. Okay, we're going to set this up. We're going to line these holes up first. Now that we have a couple of the bolts in there, we can lay it face down, and it makes it real easy to put all the rest of them in. Okay, here you go, Tom. We got the wheel ready now for a bead of silicone right here between the two barrel halves. And then after that's done, the valve stem will be put in, and you load the tire on and balance them, and they're ready to go down the road.
If you've got any questions about anything you saw on the show today,
Go over to PowerBlockTV.com.